want to start off with a couple of questions for both of you. And you guys kind of alluded to this as well, but I want to kind of circle back to it because I think it's very important. And I mentioned it as well in my opening, the fact that this challenge just continues to evolve just in terms of what it offers both on and off the field. Of course, we kick things off with a high school seminar. That's Thursday, August 26th. We then move to the welcome reception on that Friday and the Coca-Cola fan experience that, of course, precedes the game kickoff on ESPN. Now, when you think about that, it's more than just a game, right? So I wanted to ask you all from your perspective, how important is it to have such an expansive experience as it relates to just shining the spotlight on the amazing talent and treasures that we have here in HBCU college football?
Well, anytime you have a wonderful occasion such as this and you gather folk, you want to try to have some real meat and potatoes of what you ought to actually do to support your community. We all trying to influence young folk in a way that we want to create something that's going to spur them on to greater things in the future. And the things that we can do to encourage them surrounded by our game, because it's what draws them in. But once we get them, we're going to do some real good things for them to get them going in the future that way. So anything we can do that way, I think, is a great contribution to our community.
I think that weekend is going to be special. You talk about platforms for HBCU football in itself. And, you know, for some things to be lined up from Thursday all the way up through that football game, it's good for the South Carolina State. It's good for Jackson State. It's good for all the HBCUs to have that platform. That's why it's so important for us to put on at all those events, even with the football game. You know, everything is on a high-level stage, and, you know, everybody's looking. And you're talking about from East Coast, West Coast, North, South. Many people don't know a lot about HBCUs, and that's our time to shine. That's how I look at this whole event coming up.
Indeed, indeed, coaches. And just to add a little bit to that, I was speaking with a colleague of mine this morning, and he was saying, yeah, you know, there are games played on week 0, and there's some random game played at Georgia State. I said, I'm sorry, excuse me, what?
Exactly.
Random game? No, this is no random game. This is the start of college football, so this is big, and I had to make sure that my colleague understood the importance of this game as it relates to not just HBCU college football, but the entirety of college football. So thank you all so much. And then I want to just toss you guys another quick question before we send it over to the media and our audience. So I'll ask you both this question, and whoever wants to answer first answers first, but maybe I'll toss it over to you, Coach Taylor, first. Of course, the SWAC released its preseason SWAC team standings, if you will, or its preseason poll, and that was released on yesterday. Individual winners, predicted order of finish, all SWAC teams, et cetera. Specifically in the East, FAMU's projected to finish #1 ahead of Jackson State. Is that motivation for your team?
I mean, it's always motivation, but I look at the preseason, no games been played. You know, that's a team that's going to have to see us following that the MEAC SWAC challenge, and we'll take care of that business then, though, you know. But that's a lot of minds coming together. This nominating players and teams that they hadn't even seen, you know, and that's what I said about it yesterday. They don't know. You know, they hadn't seen the new Jackson State football team, and we're going to show them, you know, coming about 31, 32 days with what we've been cooking all summer. You know, it's been a great summer off season for us. I'm excited about it, but it's all about the postseason. You know, what do you look like at the end of the season? You know, that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, and making a decision before toe meets leather is always interesting because before those pads get put on, it's just conjecture, right? And
doubt.
Coach Pough, the MEAC also released its preseason all MEAC teams last week along with individual winners and predicted order of finish. South Carolina State's actually projected to be about in the middle of the pack at #3. Is that motivation for your team?
It is. Anytime you're not there, you know, in the eyes of your opponents, you're a little bit concerned. But I can tell you that, you know, I was worried about us being voted last. So now you're talking about being voted in the middle of the pack. You know, they actually gave us a little bit better credit than what I would have given us, given the circumstances. The only good thing about it is, you know, you want to try to get a chance to sneak up on them a little bit. So if I'm farther back, then, you know, I got a little longer runway that way. But hey, we'll see. It's exactly what Coach Taylor said. Any of that kind of stuff is motivation for the year. It gives you an opportunity to say, hey, look what they think about us. We got to do something, you know, that kind of stuff. So at that point, you know, then we'll get a chance to use that to our advantage.
Yeah, it sounded like bulletin board material as well. So thank you all for that.